My name is Owen Mercer, and I worked for almost 8 years as a 911 communications operator at the North Valley Regional Dispatch Center. Our center sat behind the sheriff's substation in a low concrete building with no windows on the operations floor. People used to joke that we worked inside a bunker. At night, it felt less like a joke. The room stayed the same no matter what happened outside. Snowstorm, heat wave, county fair, fatal crash, domestic call, missing child. The lights hummed, the radio speakers clicked, and the map kept glowing on the wall like a second version of the world. We handled 3 small towns, 2 state routes, a stretch of national forest, and several old industrial properties that had been bought, closed, renamed, or forgotten over the years. That last part mattered more than anyone wanted to admit. Old addresses cause problems in emergency dispatch. A cell tower can drop a caller half a mile from where they actually are. Landline records can keep business names long after the business closes. Rural roads get renamed. Buildings get demolished but remain in tax maps. A good dispatcher learns not to trust the first location the screen gives them. So when the first strange call came in, I did what I was trained to do. I questioned the data. It was 1:38 in the morning, early November, cold enough that frost had already formed on the employee entrance. I was working with the police and EMS while my partner, Laurel, handled fire. The call appeared on my screen as a landline. Caller location, Harbor Point EMS Station 6. Address, 88 Canal Service Road. Callback, internal line 6201. I stared at it for a second. Station 6 had been decommissioned 9 years earlier. It had served the old canal district before the county merged EMS coverage and moved crews to a newer building closer to the highway. The old station was sold, then condemned after a roof collapse. By the time I started dispatching, it was just a name that appeared occasionally in outdated training documents. I answered with the standard greeting. 911, what is the address of your emergency? A man replied, calm but winded. Station 6. We need police for a walk-in complaint. Male subject in the bay refusing to leave. I opened the current GIS layer. Canal Service Road was still there, but Station 6 was not. The property showed as vacant county land. Sir, confirm your location. Are you at the former EMS station on Canal Service Road? There was a pause, and then he said, Former? Behind him I heard a garage door rattling, radio chatter, and the distant hydraulic hiss of an ambulance lowering on its suspension. It sounded exactly like an active station. Can I get your name? I asked. Reed. Are you EMS personnel? Another pause. Yes, Unit 6. There was no Unit 6 anymore. I kept my voice even and entered a suspicious person call. Protocol did not allow me to ignore a caller because his location made no sense. I sent one deputy and advised him the source location might be outdated. Deputy Marin arrived 13 minutes later. He found no station, no ambulance bay, no male subject, no lights, no people, only a fenced lot, cracked asphalt, and the remains of a foundation under weeds. He cleared the call as unfounded. That should have been the end of it. But after he cleared, Laurel leaned across her console and said, Did you hear the station tones in the background? I had. Dispatchers know tones the way mechanics know engine sounds. What I heard behind Reed was not random noise. It was an old EMS alert tone, the kind our county stopped using before I was hired. I pulled the recording after shift. The voice was clear, the tones were clear, the garage door was clear, the metadata was not. The call had no carrier route, no originating exchange. It had arrived through our system, but every field below the first location line was blank. Not unknown, blank. Our supervisor, Janice, told me to tag it for telecom review and move on, so I did. For 6 days, nothing happened. Then Station 6 called again. This time it was 2:12 a.m. Same address, same internal callback, different caller. A woman said, County, we need a second crew for lift assist at the station. Who am I speaking with? This is Mallory. Mallory, what station? 6. I asked who needed assistance. She lowered her voice. There's a patient in the day room, but nobody brought him in. That got my attention. What do you mean nobody brought him in? I mean, we came back from fuel and he was sitting here. Is he conscious? Yes. Breathing normally? Yes. Does he know where he is? The line crackled softly. Then she said, "He says he's waiting for a call." I asked for a description. Before she answered, another voice came through the background. Male, elderly, close to the phone but not speaking into it. He said, "Tell them not to send Owen." My fingers stopped over the keyboard. Laurel looked at me because I had gone still. I had not given my name. I asked Mallory to repeat what he said. The line went dead. This time, Janice stayed after her shift to listen with us. She did not joke. She did not dismiss it. She put on headphones, played the audio twice, then asked me whether I knew anyone named Mallory in EMS. I didn't. She checked the county employee archive. There had been a Mallory Vance assigned to Station 6. She died in 2011, 2 years before the station closed. That should have been the moment we called somebody higher up and made it their problem. We did, technically. Janice filed a report with emergency management and county IT. Telecom checked trunks, routing tables, failover logs, and archived landline blocks. Their answer came back clean and useless. No fault found. The third anomaly was not a call. It was a status change. At 3:04 a.m. the following Sunday, an EMS unit appeared on our CAD map, parked on Canal Service Road, U6, a green available icon. For 5 seconds, it sat exactly where the old ambulance bay would have been. Then it changed to en route. No dispatcher had assigned it. No crew had logged in. No radio ID matched it. I watched the icon move west along Canal Service Road, turn onto Mill Bridge, and stop at the edge of the county map. Laurel whispered, "Are you seeing that?" I took a screenshot with my phone. That was against policy, but I wanted proof that could not disappear from the system. The icon vanished before I saved it. 2 minutes later, a real call came in from a farmhouse near Mill Bridge. Elderly male, chest pain, difficulty breathing. We sent Medic 3. When the crew arrived, the patient's wife met them on the porch and said, "The other ambulance just left." There was no other ambulance. Medic 3 reported fresh tire tracks in the frost beside the driveway. Narrow tracks, older vehicle, dual rear tires. The patient survived. At the hospital, he told the paramedics he remembered a man in an old county EMS jacket kneeling beside him, telling him to keep breathing until the real crew arrived. That detail moved the situation from strange to dangerous. If something was interfering with live emergency response, we had to know how and why. Janice created a separate incident file, not an official investigation exactly, more like a containment folder. Every Station 6 event went into it: recordings, screenshots, unit logs, responder statements, weather conditions, and system notes. I started reading old run reports during quiet hours. Station 6 had covered the Canal District when it still had working factories and low-income housing along the water. It was a rough post: overdoses, industrial accidents, fires in abandoned buildings, freezing deaths in winter. The station closed after the county changed coverage zones. But the last month of its operation was missing from the archive. Not deleted, missing, run numbers skipped. The paper index showed calls that had no digital records. A fire, a drowning, a multiple casualty incident listed only as canal event. I asked one of the older paramedics about it when he came in for coffee. His name was Ellis. He had been around forever. The moment I mentioned Station 6, he looked toward the radio speakers. "Don't play games with that place," he said. "I'm not." "Then don't ask about it on recorded lines." That was the first unofficial warning I heard. Not a rule, not a ghost story. More like a habit left behind by people who had learned where the floor was weak. Ellis told me the station had been built partly over an old canal maintenance tunnel. During heavy rain, water pushed up through the floor drains. Crews complained about hearing voices in the bay when no one was there. Dispatch used to get bad callback data from that address all the time. "And the canal event?" I asked. He took his coffee and did not answer. After that, the calls changed. They became less like emergencies and more like fragments of operations still running somewhere out of sequence. A crew requested permission to go unavailable for fuel. A dispatcher I did not recognize assigned Unit 6 to a fall victim on River Street. A man called from the station kitchen to report that every clock in the building showed a different time. One night, Our printer produced a run sheet without any active call. Unit 6. Incident type: unknown medical. Location: North Valley Regional Dispatch. Patient: Operator Mercer, Owen. Disposition: not transported. The timestamp was 6 minutes in the future. Janice took it from the printer before anyone else saw it. At exactly the printed time, the lights above my console dimmed. My headset filled with low water sounds. Not static. Water moving through a confined space. Then a voice said, very close, "Do you copy Station 6? The caller ID showed my own console extension. I did not answer. Janice reached over and disconnected the headset cord. The audio continued from the console speaker. "Owen, do you copy?" Laurel turned pale. Janice said, "Log out." I did. The voice stopped. For the next week, I worked under supervision. That sounds dramatic, but it was practical. If my console had been compromised, someone needed to observe. We changed passwords, swapped headsets, replaced the radio foot pedal, and moved me to a different workstation. Station 6 still called me, not always by voice. Sometimes my map opened to Canal Service Road by itself. Sometimes the old station appeared on the aerial view as a roofed building, grainy and gray, while the rest of the map remained current. Once, at 4:15 a.m., the operations floor smelled strongly of diesel exhaust. Not a hint. Strong enough that we checked the HVAC intake and called maintenance. They found nothing. Another time, all 3 radio speakers played the same sound for 4 seconds. A garage door opening, then rain. The major incident happened during the first winter storm of the year. Roads were bad. Calls stacked fast. Slide-offs, trees down, transformers sparking, and one structure fire that pulled half the county's volunteer departments. We were busy enough that nobody had time to be afraid. At 2:12 a.m., Station 6 appeared on the CAD map again. This time it showed occupied. 2 units, U6 and U6A, both marked available. Janice said, nobody touched them. Then a 911 call came in from a school bus driver on County Route 9. He had gone off the road with 6 kids on board. No major injuries, but the bus was tilted near a drainage ditch, and he smelled fuel. The closest real EMS unit was 26 minutes out. Before I could assign fire, CAD recommended U6. That was impossible. CAD only recommends active units. I bypassed it and assigned Medic 3, Rescue 2, and the nearest deputy. The system reassigned the call. Unit 6 en route. I canceled it. It reassigned. Janice reached for the override. The radio cracked open. County Unit 6 responding to school bus accident, Route 9. The voice was Reed. Calm, professional, close. Janice keyed the mic. Unit calling is 6, stand down. You are not an authorized resource. Static answered. Then Reed said, you don't have time. The bus driver called back, screaming that water was rising in the ditch. The kids were awake now, crying. One child had asthma and could not find his inhaler. I had a choice. Trust a dead station or lose time correcting a system that had already stopped listening. I dispatched everyone real and kept Unit 6 on the board. For 9 minutes, I tracked the impossible icon through the storm. It moved faster than road conditions allowed, cutting across service roads that had been closed for years. Then the bus driver shouted, "Ambulance is here." I asked him to confirm. He said an old white ambulance had pulled behind the bus with no lights on except one red beacon. 2 people got out wearing county jackets, a woman and a man. They were getting the kids up the embankment. Laurel covered her mouth. Janice whispered, "Do not say their names." I stayed with the driver until Rescue 2 arrived. When the real crews got there, the old ambulance was gone. All 6 children were safe in the deputy's cruiser. The bus driver insisted 2 EMS workers had been there. He described Reed, he described Mallory, he described an ambulance with the old county seal on the door. The deputy found boot prints in the snow. They led from the bus to the road, then stopped in the middle of the lane. No tire tracks left with them. Back at dispatch, Station 6 changed status. Available. Then the old station phone rang. Janice told me not to answer. But the call had routed to my console and the system would not release it. The line kept flashing. Red, white, red, white. I answered. Not because I was brave, because after years in dispatch, ringing phones become a kind of command. 911, what is the address of your emergency? For a moment, there was only rain. Then Reed said, we brought them back. I know. You should not have let us go. My mouth went dry. Why? Behind him, people were moving quickly. Equipment drawers opening. Boots on concrete. Someone crying far away. Reed said, because now the station knows you can hear it. The line shifted, not disconnected. Shifted. The sound widened until it seemed to come from the room around me instead of the headset. Every console displayed the same location. Harbor Point EMS Station 6, 88 Canal Service Road. Then the address changed, North Valley Regional Dispatch Center. 88 Canal Service Road. Our building was not on Canal Service Road. The overhead lights dimmed to a yellow I had never seen in that room. The carpet under my chair looked wet, not actually wet, wrong in the way reflections are wrong when they show movement behind you. On the wall map, the county disappeared one road at a time. Only Canal Service Road remained. A hallway opened on the camera feed from our employee entrance. That camera looked into a parking lot. It was showing an ambulance bay. A man in an old EMS jacket stood beside the open bay door, facing the camera. His head was lowered, not hiding his face, just waiting. Behind him, I saw rows of turnout gear, metal lockers, a vending machine, and a whiteboard with unit assignments, and water spreading across the floor from a drain. Janice grabbed the emergency power cutoff for the non-essential console systems. She had no authorization to use it unless fire or electrical failure threatened operations. She used it anyway. The wall map died. Half the monitors went black. The radio speakers popped silent. For 3 seconds, the whole center existed only in backup lighting and human breathing. Then the generator kicked in. The room came back normal. No wet floor, no bay, no Station 6 on the map. The school bus call remained active. Real units transported one child for precautionary evaluation. Everyone survived. County IT later blamed a cascading system failure caused by weather, corrupted CAD recommendations, and radio interference. That explanation satisfied the report because reports are built to be satisfied. Janice resigned 2 months later. Laurel transferred to days. I lasted until spring. Before I left, I drove to Canal Service Road. I had avoided it for months, but I needed to see the place in daylight. The old lot was exactly what deputies had described. Fence, weeds, cracked asphalt, a broken concrete pad where the bay might have been. Near the back, I found a drain set into the foundation. It was clear of leaves. That bothered me. Everything else was abandoned, but the drain looked recently maintained. Beside it, someone had scratched letters into the concrete. Not fresh, not old either. County receives, station responds. I took a photo. When I checked my phone later, the image showed only cracked concrete. No words. I do not work in dispatch anymore. I manage logistics for a medical supply company now. Regular hours, less adrenaline, better sleep, at least on paper. But once in a while, usually during storms, I wake up before my phone rings. No caller ID, no voicemail, most times. When there is one, it is never a voice at first. It is tires on wet pavement, a garage door opening, station tones from a system that no longer exists, and underneath it, water running through a drain. The last message came 3 weeks ago. I almost deleted it without listening. I wish I had. After 40 seconds of rain and radio static, I heard Reed's voice. Very far away. County, Unit 6 available. Then a woman I did not know answered him. She sounded tired, professional, and half asleep. Copy Unit 6, stand by for assignment. There was a pause. Then she gave him my home address,